You make more money than you did 5 years ago, maybe significantly more. And yet the gap between what you earn and what you keep hasn't changed. In fact, it might have narrowed. You tell yourself it's because life got more expensive. Rent went up, food costs more, gas, insurance, everything. And that's true. But there's another expense that grew faster than any of those. The cost of tolerating your income. This isn't about budgeting apps or cutting lattes. This is about a loop most high earners never name. The more stressful your job becomes, the more you unconsciously spend to soothe the pain of showing up to it.
Paycheck now.
You're
and this
not
was
being
from 5 years
irresponsible.
ago.
You're being
Quite a difference.
compensated. And that compensation is coming out of your own pocket. There's a phenomenon in behavioral economics that doesn't get talked about enough. It's called compensatory consumption. The basic idea is simple. When you feel depleted, undervalued, or exhausted by your work, you unconsciously spend money to restore a sense of control, pleasure, or identity. But here's where it gets structural. The modern high-stress job isn't designed to just pay you. It's designed to create the exact conditions that make compensatory spending feel necessary. Long hours, tight deadlines, emotional compression, constant availability. These aren't bugs in the system, they're features.
Wow, it just keeps going up.
Because
doesn't
when your work drains you, you don't just rest, you consume. You buy convenience, you buy status, you buy relief. And the economy depends on you doing exactly that. This is not about willpower. This is about incentive design. The same paycheck that compensates your time also creates the psychological conditions that ensure you spend most of it. Let's start with a small one. The takeout order on a Wednesday night after a 12-hour day. You're too tired to cook. You tell yourself you earned it. And in a way, you did. You worked hard. You deserve to not add another task to your day. But here's the hidden cost. That decision didn't start with hunger. It started with depletion. The same depletion that makes you scroll your phone for 30 minutes before bed. The same depletion that makes you hit snooze 4 times in the morning. The same depletion that makes you order things you don't need on a Sunday night to feel something other than dread about Monday. Compensatory spending isn't always big. It's often small, repetitive, and invisible. A subscription you forgot about. A premium service that saves you 10 minutes. A delivery fee that costs more than the meal. These purchases feel like self-care. And sometimes they are. But often they're self-medication. You're not treating yourself. You're treating the job. The trap isn't that you spend money after a hard day. The trap is that the hard day never stops. So neither does the spending. Now let's go bigger. The car payment, the watch, the apartment in the right neighborhood, the wardrobe that signals you've made it. These aren't just purchases, they're psychological hedges. When your job demands 40, 50, 60 hours a week, you need evidence that it's worth it. You need proof that you're winning. Not just to others, to yourself. So you buy things that reflect the identity you're working so hard to maintain. The version of yourself that's successful, that's competent, that's ahead. And this is where compensatory spending becomes structural. The more you earn, the more you feel entitled to the lifestyle that matches it. Not because you're materialistic, because your identity is now tied to your income bracket. You don't buy the expensive coffee because you love coffee. You buy it because it signals something about who you are, or who you think you need to be. But here's the cost. The more your identity depends on these signals, the harder it becomes to step off the treadmill. You can't take a lower-paying job with better hours. You can't move to a cheaper city. You can't pause. Because your sense of self is financed by a monthly payment schedule. This is lifestyle lock. And it's not created by spending beyond your means. It's created by spending exactly within them. Then there's the third layer, convenience. And this one is the most insidious because it feels rational. You pay for grocery delivery because you work late. You pay for a cleaner because you don't have time. You pay for car service because public transit takes too long. You pay for premium everything because your time is valuable. And your time is valuable. That's not the lie. The lie is that you're buying time back. You're not. You're buying the ability to tolerate working more. Every convenience service you subscribe to doesn't free you. It enables you to stay inside the system longer, to work harder, to remain available. This is the hidden bargain of high-income jobs. You don't just trade time for money, you trade money for the ability to keep trading time. And the system is perfectly designed for this. Your employer doesn't have to give you better hours. They just have to pay you enough to afford the services that make bad hours survivable. Uber, DoorDash, Instacart, TaskRabbit. Every app in your phone exists to help you cope with a schedule that shouldn't exist in the first place. You think you're optimizing, but you're outsourcing recovery, and recovery is expensive. And then there's the fourth pattern. The reward trip, the weekend getaway, the vacation you book because you need a break. This is compensatory spending at scale. You work so hard during the year that you need to spend large sums of money just to remember what it feels like to be human, to have unstructured time, to feel present. But here's the catch. The more depleted your baseline becomes, the more extreme the escape has to be. A day off isn't enough. A long weekend isn't enough. You need Bali. You need all-inclusive. You need something expensive enough to justify the months of grind it took to afford it. And when you return, the cycle resets. Because the problem wasn't that you needed a vacation. The problem is that your daily life has become something you need a vacation from. The travel industry knows this. The wellness industry knows this. They're not selling you rest. They're selling you temporary relief from a permanent condition, and you can't spend your way out of that. So why do we stay in this loop? Because it feels like progress. You're earning, you're spending responsibly, you're not going into debt, you're living within your means. And by all conventional standards, you're doing fine. But fine is the trap. Because fine means you're comfortable enough not to change, but not free enough to stop. Compensatory spending doesn't feel destructive, it feels deserved. And that's what makes it so hard to see. You're not overspending. You're spending exactly what the job costs you to endure. But endurance isn't the same as living, and soothing isn't the same as healing. The deeper issue is that we've been taught to value income over autonomy, to value lifestyle over time, to value the appearance of success over the felt experience of it. And as long as those are the metrics, compensatory spending isn't a problem, it's a solution. It's what keeps you functional inside a system that would otherwise break you. So what's the alternative? This isn't about cutting expenses, it's about recognizing what they represent. Every purchase you make to tolerate your job is a signal, a data point, a measure of how much the job is costing you beyond the hours. The question isn't whether you deserve to spend, the question is whether the thing you're spending on would exist if your job didn't demand it. Would you need the premium gym membership if your work didn't leave you so depleted you had to force yourself to move? Would you need the meal delivery if your schedule allowed you to cook? Would you need the escape if your baseline felt livable? This isn't about deprivation, it's about paying attention. Because the most expensive thing you own isn't in your bank statement, it's the job that makes everything else necessary. The real shift is this. Stop asking what you can afford. Start asking what your money is compensating for. Because once you see the loop, you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, you start asking different questions. Not just about money, about time, about energy, about the life you're building versus the life you're funding. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to move to a cabin. You don't have to reject success. But you do have to name the cost, the full cost. Not just in dollars, in autonomy, in presence, in the version of yourself that exists when you're not compensating. This week, pick one expense. Just one. And ask yourself, would I still want this if my life didn't feel this way? You might be surprised by the answer.